I don't know. I guess I had a camera before and just liked creating these images, you know, composing things and lining them up and making them look just a certain way, you know, sharing my, you know, view with people, you know, the way I perceive things. You know, a camera's a pretty good way for me to, you know, express myself.
And I got everything except for the very last setup, so.
Unfortunately, these creative athletes are being exploited, you know, by these commercial entities and convincing kids to just buy things that are completely useless and unnecessary, mainly unnecessary. Certainly sneakers are useful, but do you need sneakers that cost $150 that are made by slave labor in China? No. Does Michael Jordan know that that's what he's involved with? Does he care that he's telling people to eat Big Macs that are destroying the environment and the planet? No. These are important things that these creative people are letting themselves be exploited in a way that I'm not sure they know what the ramifications are. I don't think, because I give them the benefit of the doubt, being as creative as they are, knowing what it feels like to express yourself creatively and be successful at it. I am giving them benefit of the doubt that it's just ignorance that is allowing them to be whores for the corporations that they work for and ruining the planet and the environment and the welfare of young people all over the world. Not only the people that are working in the sweatshops, but kids who are buying this stuff, spending their parents' hard-earned money, their own hard-earned money, on things that are completely useless. And these are creative people. If it was someone on the team who wasn't so motivated, who wasn't such an incredible person, I would understand that if it's someone lower on the rung, because they need that financial gain to make their way in this society. And I'm not excusing that, but I'm saying I am really let down incredibly by those people in bands and athletes that let themselves be used like this. It is a travesty. It is the crime of the century. And it is horrible that creative people allow themselves to be exploited the way they have in most instances. I mean, you look at the biggest rock groups and the biggest athletes, and they're all selling some soda or some burger that is ruining everyone's health, causing cancer, leading to depletion of the rainforest. I mean, unbelievable mass starvation is occurring in the world because of what these people are letting themselves be exploited by. It's really a serious thing. I don't know if that was too politically heavy for MTV, but hopefully you could work it in some way.
I'd like to.
And it's the music or it's the skating that is motivating me in taking my pictures, or those individuals who are going to the shows, or those artists that are on the stage. You know, there's a lot of bullshit artists now. You know, people make records because they want to be a rock star. You know, it's obvious who the fake ones are. Half of them are on MTV. 9/10 of them are on MTV. But, you know, you get 1/10, and that's good, and that someone will be all right. And you could feel that, and some people hold on to that feeling their whole life. I mean, someone like Tony Alva has held on to it. You know, in music, it is almost impossible. You look at all the greatest bands, and almost everyone, their first album is their best. It's because you've worked your whole life to make that album. You know what I'm saying? It comes from within. Your next album, you have a year to make it because the record company tells you that's what you got to do. Unfortunately, because of money, people go in these other, you know, they just move on. You know, they're motivated by the wrong things, and it's really unfortunate.
In the same way,
you know, there's too much greed in the world. There's too many people that don't care. The people, when I portrayed them, at the times that I portrayed them, certainly a lot of them moved on and have changed, and some of them lost some of that initial integrity that they had. But during the period I portrayed them and put them in my first book, they meant everything to me and to millions of other kids, you know? And that's why I called them fuck you heroes. You know what I'm saying? They were heroes, not in the traditional sense, you know, or maybe it was in the traditional sense. They are heroes. But it's like they're heroes for rebelling against things that they see are wrong, for speaking up, for using their creativity in ways to motivate other people, you know, to express themselves, to change society, to wake people up. You know, skateboarders did that just by inventing this whole new creative form of sport. You know, I mean, it always been referred to in articles as the sport/art. I mean, because of the creativity that was involved early on. I mean, and still, I mean, kids are still making up tricks every day. Indeed, there are variations on other things, but, you know, someone has to think about this. I mean, when you go up to bat in a baseball game, you go up there, pitchers might be able to put a curve on it, do this and that, and people are creative, but there's, you know, a quarterback, you know he's going to throw the ball to get to that, you know, receiver. You know what I'm saying? There's certain goals that are going to happen, and that's just the way it's done, and you score points. Skateboarding, you know, it's about style. Snowboarding is about style, you know. Surfing is style and working with the elements. I mean, how more creative can you get than surfing? Because, I mean, the wave is different every time. You never know what's coming at you. I mean, these are things that, you know, people who do that stuff, I mean, people don't give them credit. They think they have no brain, you know, they're burnouts and stuff like that. And indeed, a lot of them are, but, you know, that's a lifestyle they choose that I don't necessarily agree with on that burnout tip of things. But, I mean, you got to be creative. Your mind is constantly moving to move with a wave and to just, you know, do these things. This is what's creative. This is what is, you know, artistic and athletic at the same time, you know? I mean, and the thing with a band, I mean, being on stage, I mean, writing these words, creating this music, and expressing that at the same time while you're playing an instrument and in front of an audience, and like giving off all this energy from your heart is incredible. I mean, not everyone does that. I mean, there's very few actually at this moment in time. I mean, there's bands like Fugazi. It's all about passion and integrity. That's what it is. That's what it comes down to. I mean, people don't understand. I get so excited about when I do things, or I'll look at a piece of artwork that my work is used on, and I'll stare at it all night. I mean, I'll yell at people and get excited about things in a way that people just say, like, he's difficult to work with. He's just like an ass. He's just too hardcore. He's too intense. We can't work with this guy. You know, they say that about me in my work, and, you know, if you look at some of the people I work with, they're the same way. I mean, about their music, about their skating. It's the passion, the intensity, the integrity. It's what's in you. You have to do it. You don't have a choice. That's just how it is, you know what I mean? It's like, to do anything less, it's like, you know, it'll be whack. It's not worth doing unless you can do it right. There's a few instances in my work where I did a job that I wasn't personally motivated by, but I did it for a friend. He managed a group, or a friend produced a record, and they said, can you shoot this cover for us? I said, you know, I really don't want to, but the reality is, you know, I have to pay some bills, and I won't do it for anything, but it's a friend I'm working for, and I'm not totally disassociated with what he's doing. But in those instances where it's not coming from my heart, you can see it in the work. It's obvious, it's pathetic, and I feel bad for ever taking on those jobs. But sometimes you do it for a friend. But it's just obvious, and anyone could look at some of the album covers over the 100 I've done, and you could see the ones that are whack. I could see them. I could point them out like that, you know? And it's unfortunate, but not everything I do is going to be perfect. And as a matter of fact, I mean, there's problems with all of it. But I see all those problems because of the passion I have for the work. You know what I'm saying? If I didn't care, if I just shot the photos and just dropped them off and let them do what they wanted to do, I mean, you know, I'd just be a photographer, and that's not what I am. I'm an artist first, you know? Russell Simmons is one of my best friends in the world. Russell Simmons and Ian Mackay, I consider my two best friends. Two people business-wise you won't find farther from each other. But you know what? They both have heart, and they both believe in what they do. Russell believes in making money. It's very important to him. But he also believes in sharing the culture with the world. Ian Mackay, money is the last thing on his mind. It's about expression and creativity and being in control of his own art. You know, and trying to change the world in their own ways, not within someone else's system, creating our own systems. Let people follow these ways. Don't follow us, but use this for inspiration. Do you know what I'm saying? Inspiration is the key to a lot of people's lives. They see other people doing it, and it motivates them. You know, not everyone has all these ideas originally. I didn't, you know, I mean, Craig Stesick motivated me. Ian Mackay motivated me. Russell Simmons motivated me. Chuck D motivated me to read more about black culture, and millions of other kids, you know, through his art, through his expression. Tony Alva motivated me, you know? I mean, and just going for it. Jay Adams, like extreme, just go off, don't even think about the consequences, just do it.
When we cross
unfortunately, athletically, I couldn't do it. Athletically, I just couldn't do it. You know, I'm just not that, you know, inclined. But for some reason, I was able to do it with a camera. You know, I got the timing down. I was motivated by these subjects, and I know what moment is right. I could pick it out, and I know what looks good. I could pick it out. You know, when something's good, I see it. When it's whack, I could spot it from a mile away. And again, it's the passion, it's that integrity, it's what's in you. No, I wasn't very athletic. That's probably why I was attracted to it, because he didn't have to be on a team, and it wasn't so much competition with other people. It was more, you know, it's just real, it's just something that you can do by yourself. Just like painting a picture. You know, you could do it at home, you could do it in the garage, you could do it skateboarding, you could do it on the street, you go to a schoolyard, and there doesn't have to be anyone else around to do it. I mean, yeah, I mean, you relate it to music. It's like, you know, people practice by themselves, right? You're in your room, you're practicing, playing guitar, doing what you do by yourself. I mean, that's creative, you know, and you're, you know, when you're practicing, you're like creating an energy within yourself. You know what I mean? That it helps you learn about yourself and you know, and tells you, just getting more in touch with yourself helps you be more creative, you know, and become a better person, I think. You know, like we were saying before, is that people get distracted when they become too successful sometimes. Or when they get on a team, when they get in a team sport, it's all about competition. It's all about winning the game. It's not about like just doing it and enjoying yourself and expressing yourself. And that's what, you know, separates the sports like skateboarding from other sports. You know, and things like being in a band and stuff like that. I mean, you're doing it because you have it in your heart, because that's what you want to do. It's not being motivated by money and stuff like that. And if it is, you're worthless. You might be worth something to the commercial people who are trying to exploit you, but as an artist, you're worthless if it's the money that's motivating you. I want to motivate everyone else who doesn't get to be in the place where I'm at that particular moment in time. You know what I mean? I know I'm lucky quite often to be where I get to be. I mean, whether, you know, maybe it's not all luck, but, you know, I put myself in these circumstances to be in these places at these times. So, you know, just because I'm there, okay, that's cool, but let's do something with it now. Let's share it with other people. Let's expose other people to the ideas so they can be motivated in the same ways that I am. I mean, I think these things have been, you know, made me the person that I am and helped me become, you know, a better human on this planet. I mean, skateboarding and punk rock and hip hop might not sound like it's very important to a lot of people, or that we change the world, or that we do everything, you know, that's important, but it does. It has done a lot. I mean, you know, my whole lifestyle is dictated by the things that I've learned from the people I've been around, you know, directly or indirectly, but it's all influenced in some way. I mean, everyone, or a lot of people have got, you know, one 4th grade teacher or 8th grade teacher that just really, you know, taught them the way, you know what I mean, or opened their eyes. Finally, you understand the world and what's going on about it. Skateboarding, punk rock, and hip hop is what opened up my eyes to the world and taught me about what was going on, you know, and how to change things, you know, and how to motivate other people. And I'm pretty confident in the way that I live now. You know, I've been successful with my work, but I'm more happy about what I do as a person, you know, vegan diet, you know, trying not to contribute to the environment in bad ways, you know, trying to be aware of all that I do. You know what I'm saying? For the planet and for myself, for other people around me. You know, not be so greedy, not be, you know, controlled by the corporations and all the negative forces that there are in the world today, just trying to exploit people and artists and everything else that's going on in the world. But to me, it's all natural. I'm not blown away by anyone, quite frankly, in just about anything. But I do get motivated by people sometimes, and I think it's good when people have talents. And it's fun to see people express their talents and entertain people and educate people, and that's all good. But when someone's multi-talented, I mean, it's kind of natural to me. I think once you find that key in yourself, whether it's athletically or creatively, I mean, and both those things are tied together in some ways, I mean, once you find it, it's really easy to go into other areas. You know, maybe not with the same intensity or quality that you did in the one thing, your primary motivation, but it just makes sense to me. You know, it's not that bizarre of an idea. It's not that far-fetched that someone who's an incredible skateboarder would also be an incredible artist, because once you're incredible in anything, it gives you confidence to do things in other areas. And especially if what you're incredible in is creative, you know? It's really hard to pinpoint what art is, but to me, what I can think of the top of my head is creative expression. That's art. It's some kind of creative expression, really. And whether other people can comprehend it or not doesn't really make a difference. If you can share it with people, that's nice. If you can do something that motivates people, that's incredible. But art is just what I said it was, you know? No, everyone has their own opinions on what they appreciate and what they don't appreciate. There's a lot of artists that I'm even friends with that I don't appreciate what they do, but it doesn't mean that it's not valid. You know what I'm saying? It's not the technology itself. That might help spread it, but you know, with the oversaturation, with 100 channels and all that crap, there's just so much more stuff coming out it's not even interesting. I don't even know what I'm saying is interesting. You know, it's worthless to some people. I mean, but you know, here you are covering it, and maybe someone will get something good out of it. You know.
Will there always be creative people, though? I mean, no matter what kind of society we end up turning into, isn't there going to be some form of rebellion and some sort of form of creativity?
Well, I hope there'll always be some form of creativity and some kind of rebellion, because that's what changes the world. And until the world's a perfect place, that's absolutely what we need. We need creative people. We need rebellion. We need people to speak up, say what they feel, when they want to, when they feel it. Don't be inhibited by everyone who's around you. Don't let people tell you what to do. As long as you're not hurting somebody else and you know, you're working for the common good of all people. Remember, a society is only as good, as strong as its weakest link. You know, majority rules is not always the best thing. You have to look out for everyone, you know? And unfortunately, the people who control things now, they're creative, but in very negative ways. You know, we have to look to people who grew up in skateboarding, who grew up in punk rock, who grew up in hip-hop, who know that there really are viable alternatives to the way everyone else is living. I mean, these people know because they got open minds. They're doing rebellious things. They're doing that everything that they do, people have been telling them forever is not the right thing to do. Why don't you just grow up? Why don't you do something else? I don't know one person who's grown up and become a better person because of it. I'll tell you that right now.
Is it always going to be the kids?
Well, I mean, it'll be the kids, and it'll be young people and people who have the attitude. I mean, I know people I met kids who are 10 years old who act like their parents, and I feel sorry for those little idiots. You know what I'm saying? Someone's got to kick them in the ass and put them in the street and wake their asses up. You know, and show them they don't just have to follow what everyone else is doing. And, you know, and hopefully the music and skating and people will just all inspire that and bring them, you know, and bring a lot more into their lives. I mean, that's what we're trying to do. It just doesn't make any sense to me. It's just insincere. It's just not going to happen like that. I mean, you have to, you know, it comes with trial and error. You know, you live your life a certain way and certain things come out of that, you know. I shot pictures, you know, for 15 years before I ever thought I was a photographer or considered myself an artist. I mean, for a while I actually realized, okay, I'm a photographer now because that's how I'm making my living. But then I realized I don't even carry a camera most of the time. You know, I'm not a documentarian. I do it when there's something that I want to express, you know. So, I mean, I'm rarely carrying a camera. I rarely take pictures, but when I do it, it's when I'm motivated to do that. Just like, I mean, everyone who's artistically inclined. I mean, some people are more inclined more often than others, but I don't think you set out to do it. I think it's just something that comes to you after, you know, after some period of time. I mean, you can't really predict when it happens. Someone might know the day they pick up the paintbrush, they all of a sudden feel confident in expressing themselves that way, and that's how, you know, they all of a sudden become an artist, you know, quote, an artist. I mean, it's so hard to really, you know, pinpoint what makes, you know, what makes someone an artist or when they become an artist. But, and I don't know if you ever really know, you know, I mean, it's not so easily defined. You gotta,
To get off six, is addicted to it.
yeah, I mean, it's something that's in you. It's that, I mean, whether it's, you know, creativity is in you. Your integrity is in you. You could learn about it if you didn't know that such a thing existed before by, looking at other people for example, or for inspiration. But if you don't have it in your heart, it's not going to come out of you. It doesn't matter how hard you try. I discourage people from art school and music school and photography unless you want to learn technical things about the arts. You know what I mean? Because if you have it in you, you're going to learn it. It's going to come out. You're going to be motivated. You're going to go to a library and read on your own. You're going to experiment on your own, and it's all going to happen. I don't think it's something that you could learn. I mean, some people will get something out of those, but it's like when you get on a skateboard for the first time, whether you're pushing on your knee or you just jump on it and you start rolling. I mean, you start slow. Nothing happens automatically. It just does not happen. And that's, when I picked up a camera, it just wasn't instant. I mean, I was able to look through and see something and feel it and capture that moment and had the timing. But to learn the techniques and how to use stuff, it's just something that comes over a period of time. And as you get more, confident in what you do, you learn how to use the medium more to your advantage and to express yourself that much better for other people to understand. But you, inside, always understand what you want to do. It's just a matter of getting it out there for everyone else to comprehend, if that's your goal. I mean, I think it's more important, absolutely 100%, that you do everything for yourself first. Whatever motivates you is what should make the art come out. And unfortunately, a lot of people, don't work from that set of rules.
It's not as much maybe with no one watching.
Well, I think most professional sports is bullshit, and it's run by corporations who are just trying to exploit people to sell other products. That's how I feel about most major sports. And unfortunately, people like Michael Jordan and other major athletes who sell themselves to all these big companies are just playing a big part in that machine. But there's plenty of art that's creative. And you can't tell me that those guys, even now that they're sellouts, weren't creative when they first started. It's just unfortunate what they've done with it. I mean, team sports, other than winning, when the individual is out there doing what he's got to do, if he excels, he is being creative. Because you've got to be creative to excel on that court. And that's even team sports. I mean, you can go to a whole nother level, something like skateboarding or snowboarding, particularly skateboarding. Skateboarding is like almost nothing else in the world. Surfing is kind of close in a lot of ways too. But those surfing and skateboarding, I mean, are just so creative. I mean, you could do it anywhere. By yourself. You don't need anyone. The equipment plays such a little part in what's going on. Just like in true art. My camera, it doesn't matter what kind of camera I have. It doesn't matter what kind of paintbrush I have. You could change things a little bit here and there, but if you are creative, you will be able to express yourself and share things with other people and with yourself, that help you understand your own life better, and help you relate to other people better. I mean,
It's not the equipment.
it's definitely not the equipment, and it's definitely the person.
I never thought
People will always have art in them. Whether the culture and society allows them to get it out of them in the way they want to is something that we'll see for the future. I mean, people's freedoms are being limited more and more every day. People's form of expression is being limited in a lot of ways every day. I mean, not limited to their imaginations, but limited in the way they can communicate it to other people over, large expanses. I mean, anyone will always be able to go pick up a guitar, but maybe after a certain period of time, it's just not going to be the way to express themselves. Anyone right now could pick up a camera, but honestly, the equipment that I like to use isn't even being made anymore that available. Everything's automatic. I don't know how the hell you could create something when it's automatic. I just don't get it. I don't know. So, but I mean, art will always be there. It's always in people. I mean, someone's always going to scribble something down to express themselves, whether it's a note or it's a mural or it's a song or it's a picture or it's a movie or something that we don't even know about yet. You know what I mean? I mean, the people who created the internet are creative. I mean, that is, I don't know if that's a piece of art, but it's a piece of equipment. And I give them credit for that. And having, but it was made for a purpose, as a utility, not so much as a form of personal expression or emotion. You know what I mean? Art is like a much more emotional thing. And that's the thing that I think a lot of people don't realize, that most artists, when they create something, it's really from within themselves. If it speaks to you, it's got to be. I mean, if you have any integrity in yourself, if you have any heart in yourself, I mean, if it's not coming from within, it's fake. And most of the time, you could feel it, you know? I mean, maybe you can. I mean, I'm entertained by some things that aren't necessarily from the heart. And obviously, if you look at the record charts, most everything on there is crap, and very little of it comes from the heart. It's mostly commercially motivated. But the stuff that is, boy, you feel it. And that's what makes it good and vital and exciting. And, you know, it makes you, you know, want to go around and check out other people's art and see what other people are doing. Even if you're a creative person yourself, you like to see what other, you know, there's always, you know, curiosity. You always want to know what's going on in the world, I think, anyways. You know, in people's hearts, it helps you communicate with people, understanding what other people are thinking inside of them.
And art should always be changing, otherwise. Doing photos right now?
I mean, when it's from your heart and when you have integrity and when you do what you do because you love to do it, you can't stop. It is a form of addiction. Hopefully it's not something that's bad for you, you know. But you love to do it and you just feel it and you know when it's right and you know when you've got to do it. I mean, it's unfortunate that record companies, you know, make artists or expect them to put out a new record every year when you realize their first album came out after, you know, whatever, 15, 20, 30 years of life's experience, and then all of a sudden they have 1 year to create their next album. It's worth of material. It's kind of sad and unfortunate, you know. I mean, you bring everything to that table the first time you sit down. But then after that, when you keep coming to it again and again, it's kind of hard. That's why I respect and appreciate these artists that I've worked with over the years who keep coming up with new and incredible things. There's very few of them, you know. Fugazi is the best example that I could think of, you know, completely uncommercially motivated only by their hearts and what they know is right, and by those people around them. And, you know, I give them everything.